Today's video, we're going to talk about the cheapest CPM advertising options on the internet. If you wanted to know where the cheapest place, in other words, to advertise on the internet is, the most expensive options, and why those are actually, generally speaking, even better bet than the cheapest options. If you don't know what CPM is, this is cost per million or cost per thousand. This is the cost as it is assigned to a place of where you can advertise online or offline, if you will, because it also applies to that, what it would cost to get in front of 1,000 people or 1,000 eyeballs, if you will, 1,000 pair of eyeballs. So if you're advertising on Facebook and you want to know what it's going to cost to get your ad in front of 1,000 people, and the CPM on Facebook, if you know it's $8, that means $8 to get in front of 1,000 people, or for every 1,000 people that your ad gets in front of, it's an extra $8. So that is CPM in a nutshell. The reason why CPM is used so much is because ultimately people that sell a product or service, generally it's the same people that you need to get in front of, whether they're on Facebook or Google or whatever it is. And the only way to really cross compare what it's going to cost to get in front of those people on one platform or another is using this cost per thousand metric or CPM. That said, that's a really dumb way to evaluate whether or not you're going to do an advertise on one platform or another. And I'm going to explain exactly why that is on this video. That is, if you even know halfway anything about advertising and really making money advertising online and have actually done it and made millions of dollars running ads online for business like I have, and do so on a regular basis for the dozens of clients that we have at our firm that we're constantly servicing. I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, a online advertising agency that guarantees results for clients. That is, before we take management fees from our clients, we guarantee you get so much increase in profitability from your ads up front, or to a certain level of profitability with your ads up front before we agree to take a management fee, to show you that we have some skin in the game as well. We're the only agency in the world who offers any kind of guarantee like that at all whatsoever, which should tell you something about the quality of the information you're getting on this particular video and channel that go along with it. And that comes from having myself being the key ad strategist at the firm who does all the ad strategy and has 20 years of experience doing ad strategy on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different campaigns. So with that said, okay, the key thing to know right off the top about CPM is the cheapest places to advertise online are places where the advertising itself isn't worth as much. That is, in terms of the value, getting actual customers, places you can advertise to get a customer, there's less of them, generally speaking, in the places that are the cheapest to advertise. You get what you pay for, in other words, as it comes to finding places to advertise online. And just because some places seems really expensive to advertise doesn't mean you're not going to make more money advertising there than the cheapest option. Or another way to put this is there is no free lunch. There is no place where you're going to find where it costs 10 cents per 1,000 eyeballs that is going to make you rich because you found that place where somebody didn't know the value of the traffic that they have and they underpriced it, and you found it, and now you found it. Because you found it, you're going to be rich. People are not that dumb. It's a market-driven system. People that have eyeballs to sell understand what the basic value of those eyeballs are by supply and demand and testing. Any company that sells ad space is going to raise the cost of the ad space until people don't buy anymore. And people are going to stop buying the ad space when they can't make an ROI from the ad space anymore. So they find out through their own advertisers what their ad space is worth. This shouldn't be that complicated to understand, but people somehow still think that are getting into advertising their business for the first time or just starting to learn about it, that cheaper is better. And I could tell you firsthand, and been doing this for 20 years now, I've tried everything. Cheap, expensive, there is no free lunch. Cheap is not necessarily better. In fact, cheaper is never automatically better. Just to make it completely clear for you here. Now that said, I said on the start of this video, I would talk about what are some more expensive options and cheap options to go along with the title of the video, cheapest CPM that you can find online. I'm going to give you several of those on this video. If you watch to the clear end of this video, by the way, I will give you some actual numbers on campaigns we were running on these different places, expensive, cheap. So you actually know what you can make going out there and actually trying some of these other cheaper or more expensive advertising options to go along with it. Before I get into the different options here, like kind of like what the pricing is for different tiers of advertising and what it produces, I just want to say that if you want to know what's right for your business, because for every niche market, a different channel is going to be better for you based upon there's going to be a higher concentration of customers on one website for you to sell to than on another. If you sell auto parts, you'll do a lot better advertising on Google than on running banner ads, let's say, across the web on random websites, mainly because those people on Google are a lot more motivated to buy, and there's a lot more people who buy in general on Google than on a news website reading a news article on foxnews.com. With that said, some offers will do a great job on, let's say, LinkedIn, whereas we won't do so good of a job on Facebook, or we'll do a good job on Google search, but not so much on running ads on YouTube. We'll do a great job on YouTube, but not so much on Google search, because Google search isn't everything all the time. 90% of the markets, it will work, but not always. So if you want to know which is which, contact me at guaranteedppc.com. This is exactly what I consult clients on. I can give you some quotes on what results you can get advertising in those places with the guarantee like we offer to our clients here, and would not necessarily have to pay a fee to our agency unless we were able to get you those minimum numbers or increase in numbers up front doing what you're doing. We also sell ad templates. If we've already worked in your niche market before, you can do yourself a huge favor just buying the templates that work for your niche market that we've already figured out how to get to in our market. So for instance, if you're trying to sell cleaning services, you can actually advertise that because we have the winning ad, landing page, campaign template, many years of testing ads in that particular niche market. And you could run it in your own city, same way we're running it in Denver, get the same results we're getting in terms of cost per lead, ROI, all of that, and can tell you the ROI you would get with it up front. We've got templates to sell items. If you want to get into e-commerce and don't know how, the easiest way to do that is to start with one of our templates to sell an item you can get from China in a country that our client isn't in. Or you can do this, we got service campaigns out the butt available with all the results, and we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. We got people using these templates to sell leads to people in different niche markets, which is a great passive income business idea, by the way. It's basically having a business in a box. That is, having a funnel to sell an item or service which you know will sell at a certain rate right up front because we've already done it here and can tell you the results it gets up front. If you're interested in any of those templates, let me know at guaranteedppc.com. I'll let you know what results we have, what niche markets we've gotten results in, and what templates are available. We've worked in over 100 niche markets in the last 10 years of running this firm. So the chances are high we, A, have worked in your market, and B, have a market that if you're trying to start a business that you'll want to get into and template available for it, or something that would excite you, if you will. With that said, getting into the prices for the different advertising options. When we compare CPM, which is a basis of comparison, so we can compare the cost of advertising in one website versus another, which is what it does well. To start off the top, on the upper end of the range here, which isn't the most expensive, I will tell you right up front, LinkedIn ads, cost per 1,000 eyeballs on LinkedIn is going to be around $25, which is decently high. The quality of the traffic is decently high. People don't really usually click through stuff on LinkedIn very much. They're not on LinkedIn nearly as much as they are on as is Facebook, but each piece of content they look at it more intensely, which is why when you go ahead and you try to run ads on LinkedIn, you'll see how profitable they are. It may seem expensive when you compare the cost per lead that you're getting advertising there versus other platforms, like particularly Facebook. What you'll end up finding, like we have found at our firm, advertising a white papers for a push notification software app, that the cost per lead is actually similar on Facebook as it is on LinkedIn, even though the advertising cost per click is actually 3 times more expensive on LinkedIn than it is on Facebook. And the reason for that is the same exact offer will generate a conversion rate on the traffic of around 5% on Facebook traffic versus around 15% on the LinkedIn traffic. So you got people that, on LinkedIn, like I was mentioning, the general thing there is they take stuff that they see more seriously, and they're more likely to respond and act on it once you get people to actually click through that ad. Cost per 1,000 eyeballs on LinkedIn is $25. Facebook, it's more like $8. But what you're going to find, like we did with that case study with the push notification company, is as we've replicated this several times since then, the conversion rate on the traffic you get from LinkedIn, if you're running the same exact offer on LinkedIn as you are on Facebook, it's going to convert probably around 3 times better. So the cost per conversion, or cost per lead, if you will, cost per sale, if you will, is going to be the same regardless, even though each eyeball that you're getting in front of is going to be 3 times more expensive on LinkedIn as it is on Facebook. Follow me so far? So that tells you right up front already why cheaper is not always better necessarily. It could be better, not saying it can't be better, but it's not necessarily better automatically. And for that matter, there's no free lunch. If it were cheap and good, place that's selling that ad space would figure it out and raise the price accordingly. So also, if we go a bit further down the list here, Taboola. Taboola, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like those ads that you see running on, if you go to like CNN.com, there'll be ads that are kind of like midway through the page. It's not banner ads. It's like a picture and text next to it, and it'll be like, see this one weird trick to lose fat off your ass. Works instantly, or whatever. Everybody's seen these. They just didn't know what it was many times. Taboola is just one ad network that offers it. They're the kind of like the high-end version of this, if you can call it high-end at all. Cost per 1,000 to advertise through them is going to be more like $4 CPM. So right away, as you can see here, it's going to be half as much as advertising through Facebook. I can tell you the quality of the traffic isn't nearly as good. Part of which is because the targeting isn't as good, so they have to sell it cheaper, yes. But a bigger factor, which I'm going to talk more about in a minute, is about the trust. People don't trust those ads as much as they are on Facebook. And Facebook is strict about what they let you advertise for a reason. Because if they let anybody ball hair remover, people would stop taking the ads seriously. And as a result, the ads that run there, they'd get lesser conversion rate on it, and they'd have to sell the ad space for cheaper. So they just basically shoot themselves in the foot. So by making sure that people that are selling, sketchy stuff are not advertising there, they actually can sell the ad space for higher. Taboola, you can advertise there. It's going to be cheaper, but you're going to still also get what you pay for. We sold a skincare product on Taboola, as well as on Facebook, as well as on RevContent, which is another like lower tier or third tier ad network. Run that style of what they call native ads, which are ads that are like blended in with the text content on a news website. The ones that say, see this one weird trick to make 10 times smaller or whatever. The reason why these second, third tier native ad networks exist is because a lot of stuff Taboola won't take, you can run on RevContent and they'll take your business. But because they're taking even sketchier offers, they can't sell the ad space for as good anymore. So like depending on you as a person who has a website, you can decide if you're going to let sketchy ads on there, not sketchy. If you have more sketchy, you'll have more people that want to advertise because there's more people with sketchy offers will be able to advertise on there versus not, but you'll downgrade the credibility of the ads as a whole on that website. Hopefully that makes sense as a concept. RevContent will charge about $1 CPM, so way less than Taboola for a similarly looking ad, but you're getting on your website. Because the reason why somebody would take RevContent to make money from ad space on their website is because the web content is sketchier, or they have sketchier traffic that doesn't convert as well. So Taboola won't take them, because what these ad networks also do is they'll measure the conversion rate of the traffic. And if it doesn't convert very well, they'll not accept you as a potential person to advertising on those websites, because Taboola is just like the middleman between the website owner and you, the advertiser. Taboola wants to make sure the websites that you're able to get on through them are halfway decent converting. Otherwise, you would stop advertising on Taboola altogether. Anyway, we had a skincare product. So this is provided a really good case study as to show you and show us what it is that Facebook will convert for the same type of offer, same type of ad creative, which it was, versus Taboola versus RevContent, and whether paying $8 CPM for Facebook traffic versus $1 CPM for RevContent traffic was worth it at the end of the day or not. Result of that was Facebook traffic was more profitable than the Taboola RevContent traffic, even though it's half to 90% cheaper. Specifically, the skincare product we had converted 3 times better on Facebook as it did on Taboola, and it converted roughly 10 times more better on Facebook than it did on RevContent. So we actually had a lower ROI on Taboola and RevContent than we had on Facebook, even though cost per eyeball is way more expensive because of the credibility that we had having that ad run on Facebook versus having it run on next to a bunch of other sketchy ads on random blogs, which a lot of times also have bot traffic, which also affect the conversion rate and therefore what they can charge per eyeball on these websites. So that gives you a perfect example of how cheaper is not always better. We can go even further here. There's even cheaper options to advertise than on second or third tier native ad networks. You could go ahead and get into push notification advertising, which push notifications are basically just the pop-ups on a website, basically at the top of your screen. Instead of asking you whether you want notifications from the website, it can have an offer on it. With that, you can have 1,000 of those messages show up on websites that want to monetize their website that way for 20 cents a thousand, cost per thousand. So it's 20 cents per 1,000 showings. This is even more sketchier. People aren't used to even seeing these type of ads. They do convert. I've got a video about push notification advertising on this channel. You can go to my channel homepage and search for that, and you can see exactly what we promoted there, how it worked. It doesn't convert very well, and it's also get what you pay for. We did not market the skincare product there, so I can't give you a comparison between clear apples to apples comparison, in that and how well that produces ROI versus RevContent versus Taboola, but I can tell you it doesn't convert very well, and that's why it's super cheap. You could get into even cheaper versions of traffic. There's pop-up traffic, pop-under traffic. Yes, that stuff really does exist where you have another tab that pops open when you open up a website and whatnot. And that can be, which is basically what is considered junk traffic. You can pay 10 cents a milli or 8 cents a milli or cost per thousand. It's really hard to get somebody to convert off of a pop-up. It's really sketch. For the most part, you're only going to be able to sell scams through that because legit company A is going to have other options, and it's going to be a better value. So therefore, all they're doing is catering to people selling scams based. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that. Now, going the other way here, there's even more expensive options than LinkedIn cost per milli. Before I get into that, get into my final points here. If you haven't subscribed to this channel and you want to know different traffic sources, how they do, offers that work on them, basically everything you need to know to make millions of dollars a year running ads for your business. This is the channel you want to subscribe to, as I have all that information laid out for you on this channel. And it comes from somebody who spends 40 hours a week, literally, doing ad testing at our firm to figure out what works and what doesn't work on a broad basis and give it to you for free on this channel. Nobody else does what I do, has the information available like that on YouTube. There's plenty of people who don't run any ads and are trying to sell courses still. The information therefore is useless on how to make money with ads. They're not in the weeds doing it, and you have to be in the weeds doing it to really know anything, to really be able to teach what works and what doesn't work in terms of running online ads for yourself. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you absolutely should if you haven't already. And you should also check out my blog. My blog is at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog itself has step-by-step advice and specific instructions to replicate the strategies we're using to guarantee results for our clients and are our go-tos for that, with screenshots, with the whole shebang that you need to literally bolt on strategies to your website and business to make money in a bunch of different ways. So you should check that out as well. If you have any questions, by the way, about how to do any of this stuff or any other marketing or advertising related question, you can also leave me a comment in the comment section anytime. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. And you can ask me anything you'd like. Getting into the final point I was going to make here, there's super cheap CPMs out there at 20 cents, and there's CPMs that are $100, $200, $300 CPM. If you're wondering what those are, that is where you get into the world of influencers, influencer marketing, paying authorities, news stations to promote your product or review your product. Not promote, but review it to make it look like native content, true native content. That is, you can literally pay Fox News to review a product, make it seem like they're just organically reviewing this. As long as you're willing to pay $150 CPM, you can do it. These news stations need money more than anything anymore, or more than ever. So you'd be surprised how much they're open to actually letting you do the pay for play like that. We've done this several times now. They basically are all down. And that's how they make most of their money, given that the ads that play during commercial breaks, those don't really have any impact. I mean, yes, for big companies like Oreo cookies, you can actually see an ad for Oreo cookies and it will impact whether you or not you buy Oreo cookies the next time you're in the cookie aisle. But for like a direct to consumer sale, like I want to sell this mailbox for $100, it doesn't do that. Mainly talk about on this channel and what works for sustainably and to scale for small companies. It's direct response advertising where here's the product, we got to get them to buy. If they don't buy, the ad doesn't work and we say it doesn't work. Influencers, you can go ahead and find an influencer in your space. Like if you sell surfing products, you can get a surfing influencer that talks nothing but surfing on their YouTube channel to review your product, and you'll probably pay $50 to $100 CPM for every person that your product review gets in front of. If you're going to get into a news station, you're going to be paying $100 to $200 CPM. If you want a A-list celebrity to review your product, it's going to probably be $200 to $500 CPM. And you get what you pay for here again. The main thing, by the way, you do those particular things for advertising with influencers / celebrities / news outlets is the credibility. There's so much freaking credibility that you get once you're reviewed there and you slap that on your landing pages or on your website. That's where the true value is with it, which is why people don't think it's worth it and why it works so well, because most people are just going to be thinking, oh, that's way too expensive, or, you know, they're looking at it as, you know, the point of doing that is somebody sees the mention on the news station and then they buy, and that's where the value is, and you get some sales that way. The real value is recording that mention, slapping it on your landing page, and then all the traffic you're driving to your landing page now will convert 50% better because you've got that mention on there. That's where the real money is. That's an insider secret. Anyway, you can go super, super high CPM and actually get the most value out of it. And the general rule of thumb is the higher the CPM, the more the ROI. The higher the CPM, the less people can afford it, or less people think they can afford it. It's all paying for itself, honestly, at the end of the day. The less people are after it, therefore, it gets the best return. Because here's the thing with advertising. Here, I always give this analogy, and this is a very true one. You could send out a direct mail piece in the mail, in the snail mail, one message A on it. You could send that same message A to somebody through an email. This is going to pull per eyeball 100 times what this email is going to pull. Same exact people, same exact message. Why? Because of the perceived trust and value of the message in that one medium versus the other. Once you start getting into the expensive CPMs, very few people are willing to pay that money to get on those particular mediums or channels. Therefore, there's less people seen there. Therefore, the people that see you there think that this message is more trusted, should be believed more, etc., etc. And the more expensive the consumer thinks being there is, also the more trust it gets. People, part of the reason why that letter will pull at 100x than the email will is because people know it's expensive to send out a letter. So when they get that letter in the mail, they're damn well opening it, versus the email, it's basically like spam to them. When you get seen mentioned by a celebrity, people know that's very hard to get that done, if not impossible to pay to get that done. Versus the banner ad they see on some random website, people all know it's very cheap because they see people doing it all the time. Idea of the other end of the spectrum and what can be done there and what the value of that is, and ultimately at the end of the day, you should be going more expensive than cheap, or as expensive as you can afford at the given time. You get what you pay for, but the better the return is on the more expensive stuff. Honestly, as a whole, that's generally been the case and continues to be the case to this day. And use that philosophy in trying to take ad dollars that we're responsible for getting a return on for our client and get that, to be able to get that return as quick and as easiest terms as possible, is going after the most coveted, highest cost places to advertise on the web and even also offline. I mentioned that I would give you a couple real examples of where we advertise and the profitability of our ads there if you watch to the end of the video. Now I'm going to get into that now. Basically here, that skincare products have crazy high margin, where the cost of the product is only going to be about 30% of what it sells for. That's pretty standard in that space. We advertised on Facebook, Taboola, RevContent, Google, a bunch of other places. The ROI that we were getting on and for that company itself was around 200% on Facebook. Taboola, we're talking about 170-ish or something. and then RevContent about 145. The higher up that we go in terms of cost per milli, the more the return was because the perceived value of that ad and trust of that ad where it showed up. That said as well, okay, the volume that we were able to get with Facebook on top of it was actually very, very good. About 50K in sales there a month just through Facebook. Then Taboola, decent volume around 25K, and then another around 8K on RevContent. So that gives you a kind of a general idea how this can end up. The higher end CPM not only is better, the moral of the story is here, yes, the ROI can be better because it's a better place to advertise, it's more trusted, but also you can get a lot more volume as well on top of it. At the end of the day though, still, what your job is to figure out what your ROI is that you needed to have, advertise as many places as you can. When you don't have the ROI that you want, you go ahead and you reduce the cost per click you're willing to pay so that the ROI you're getting is at the level that you need it. If you need a 2-to-1 return in terms of ROI and you got a 1, well, you just reduce the cost per click in half. And that's what we were able to do here. So even though we needed, at least 150% ROI to basically break even here, if you will, with the upsells and everything, it was fine because we just have to pay a little bit less per click once it's said and done with, and we can bring that ROI up. Okay? To give you another example here, if we want to go ahead and do a service, okay, we were also doing roofing services, and this is a regional company. Advertising on Facebook versus Google, we were generating leads for about $50 each on Facebook, whereas on Google, we're generating leads for about $150 each. With that said, the leads that we're getting from Facebook only closed at about 5%, whereas the leads on Google is closing at about 15%. So as a result of that, the value of the traffic from Google is much, much higher, even though the cost of the leads are much higher. And that comes from having a much higher CPM on Google search than you're going to find it on Facebook. We were advertising on Facebook just so that you know, and this is where people also get screwed up. What works on Google isn't going to work on Facebook. Typically, you need an offer to get something to work on Facebook because you're interrupting people. On Google, we're just saying, hey, we're the best roofing service there in the area when they're looking for a roofer in their area. Whereas on Facebook, we're saying, get a roof for as little as $80 a month, which is a play on the financing program that they had, and then they generated leads that way and worked them that way. That was the play there in order to get a $50 lead cost. A lot of the leads, though, a person replying that way, a lot of them just don't have the credit or whatever, and it's going to convert less, even though we have a person that obviously needs a roof and is willing to buy one. Otherwise, they wouldn't have responded to that ad. That gives you a general idea, though, of how this stuff works. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like I was saying earlier, you got to have tracking systems set up so you know what your conversion rates are, your true conversion rates, not cost per lead, but cost per sale and ROI, and you got to know what your number needs to be up front to be successful on that platform when you start trying that ad platform out, whether that be Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is, and then being able to adjust your cost per click, what your bid, what you're willing to pay per click so you get the ROI that you need. And then from there, once you hit a bottleneck, you move to another platform and another one and another one and another one. And then you just go and you see how many places you can advertise that are still going to deliver that cost per lead. That same roofing company offer, we could run it on YouTube. We could run it through demand gen campaigns. We could run it through email campaigns, like literal, old school email blasts to lists, buyers lists, if you will, people that are interested in home renovation / roofing, if you will, doing that, and a bunch of other stuff. Which, in order to make that work, if you get it to work, to interrupt people and get them to respond to a lead like that, where it's $80 a month for a roof, you can make 10 times as much money doing that than you can on Google search because there's so much more potential in it. You just got to find a good offer that works, and very few people understand how to make an offer and that they need an offer, but you come up with that offer, you find it, and you can run it on tons of different platforms, and you can make a ton of money doing that once you just find out what that offer is. Easy way to hack the offer is to hack your competitors' funnels. Find out what offer they're using, then just copy it. And generally that will work. But where people get hung up is they see their competitor running XYZ offer and they say, I don't understand how they can afford to offer that 50% off or whatever, but they don't see what they're doing with the lead after they get it in terms of lifetime value, upsells, cross-sells, repeat purchases, understanding how they get enough value from a customer to justify a 50% off in the front end. Anyway, so you get the general idea of what I'm talking about here. Really good. Somebody who makes a lot of money at running ads for their business understands how to get the right ad, the right landing page, the right tracking, and offer. What kind of offer is it going to take that you can run ads on a bunch of different platforms, regardless of the CPM cost, adjust what you're paying per click to get the ROI that you still want on those platforms, and then go ahead and move to the next one and the next one. There's so many places to advertise online. Once you understand your numbers and what's going to get people to respond when interrupting them, there's so much potential. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said influencer was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it